Right, hi everybody. There is a French connection here, actually. Yeah, because I'm actually here from France, as you can tell by the accent. I was a history teacher in the UK in a secondary school, but I live in France now. I'm near Nantes, and I teach in an engineering school. I'm an English teacher in an engineering school in Nantes. I've recently enrolled on a PhD or to do a PhD at the University of Rennes 2, which is about 100 kilometers north of Nantes in northwestern France. So now you're clear about the geography, in case you were wondering. Voila, so I'm here today to talk to you about command and control in challenge-based learning, why a dashboard is indispensable. So without further ado, actually, what I ought to tell you actually about, you perhaps know this about Rennes 2. Rennes 2 University is an absolute hotbed of militant and left-wing politics. And you've probably seen the recent protests in France on the news. At Rennes 2, they were literally barricading some of the buildings at the university, which led, unfortunately, to King Charles not being able to come to France to meet King Macron at the Palace of Versailles, which was obviously very upsetting for me personally. Yeah, but at least I'll be able to watch the coronation on May the 6th. That should soothe me a bit. But anyway, that's enough about politics and King Charles for the moment. Right. So yeah, let's just talk about the context of this project. As we know, virtual exchanges are now mainstream. That trend was further accelerated by the COVID pandemic, as we well know. At the University of Rennes 2, there's a dual requirement of promoting both distance learning and also international collaboration as part of the internationalization at home policy at the University of Rennes 2. Obviously, during COVID, the Erasmus program in Europe, whereby students could go to other European countries for a period of time during their studies, that obviously wasn't possible during COVID. So yeah, there has been an attempt to offer an international experience at home without the students needing to go abroad. So yeah, this is very much being promoted at the University of Rennes 2 at the moment, internationalization at home. The other thing that's being promoted at Rennes 2 is language for specific purposes, and this project very much focuses on language for specific purposes. The project itself is referred to as the Virtual Environmental Challenge. There's also a French version of the project, which is Défi Environnemental Virtuel, DEV. It's targeted principally at master students, master didactique des langues. These are language didactic students who are training to be language teachers of French and English. And their role is as teachers. I'll say a bit more about teachers in a minute. As part of the challenge, as part of the project, they follow a MOOC if they're doing the English version, or a YouTube channel if they're doing the French version. There are meetings and classes online, virtual classroom style meetings. And there's this online competition for all the students participating. And at the moment, there are 8 different universities involved across 5 different countries: Ireland, France, Slovakia, Burkina Faso, and the United States. So yeah, that's a little bit about the context and the project itself. In terms of the objectives of the Virtual Environmental Challenge, certainly to develop peer education, to develop the sharing of knowledge and skills from peer to peer. That's very much an emphasis in an international context. And from a multidisciplinary perspective, that is to say that, for example, the students in Ireland are geography students. The students at Rennes 2 are didactic students. They're language, essentially language students. The students at my school in Nantes, Central Nantes, are engineers. They're engineers. There are environmental planning students. So yeah, very much multidisciplinary, but obviously something to do with the environment is applicable to all of those disciplines. So it works very well. But obviously particularly works well with language teachers in terms of developing their language skills, developing vocabulary, and presenting information that's quite complex in what is a foreign language to those students. So yeah, the objectives, the 4 bullet points there: to sign up students for an internationalization at home experience, to find innovative dynamics to involve students in improving the sustainability of their campus environment. Obviously, most of us are interested in the environment. We're interested in climate change. We're interested in policies or ideas that promote sustainability. So yeah, if you like, you're dealing with a student body that is receptive, certainly receptive to this as a topic, as a subject matter. In terms of skills, or principally skills, yes, certainly to stimulate LSP learning. It is promoting project management skills, presentation and communication skills, working as part of a team, the use of digital tools, hopefully building confidence, etc. All of which have direct application in the workplace. And finally, to involve students in the development of the scheme and to promote peer learning in an international context. And the students, obviously, this is, if you like, a sort of action research project. So there is always feedback coming from the students, and there's feedback and evaluation of the project at the end of the project. So if you like, from year to year, we're looking for feedback and looking to improve the experience for all concerned, but obviously primarily for the students participating. Okay, project characteristics. Essentially, yeah, it revolves around an online learning space, which offers a range of open educational resources, MOOCs, YouTube tutorials, digital docs, Google Docs, digital tools, and not least the digital dashboard, which I will eventually get onto at about 6:30. So yeah, that's the context. It is all online. As well as the competition itself, like the students follow, all the students participating follow a MOOC-based meetings. That is to say that each week they follow this MOOC, Stories We Live By, which is very fascinating. I don't know if any of you know this. This is on eco-linguistics, and this is Professor Aaron Stibb at the University of Gloucester. And his contention is that if you want people to change their attitudes towards the environment, then you need to change the narrative. And he says that if you look at books at the moment, what's the narrative we get about humans is that we're selfish, greedy people who like to consume. If you see that in the media, you see that in economics textbooks, etc. So his proposition is, well, if we can change the language we use, if we can change the narrative, if we can say, well, people actually aren't all greedy and selfish, some of them are caring and compassionate and altruistic, that you'll make more progress with the environment. So yeah, anyway, I'd recommend Professor Aaron Stibb. He presents that MOOC in 9 chapters, so nice little morsels which the teachers, which I'll explain what the teachers do more fully in a moment, the teachers present those MOOC chapters to the participating students. Also very interesting with that MOOC is that whenever Professor Stibb asks his students a question, they answer exactly right at exactly the right time. Yeah, it's marvelous. Must be the effect of the camera or something. Okay, and the articulation of the actual tournament or the competition. The first part is they need to create a logo, which often, believe it or not, involves the planet. And then it goes into the 3 rounds of the competition. So the first round is a 20-minute presentation, a slide presentation where they present their ideas for a eco-friendly campus. That is listened to by an opposing team, and the opposing team at the end can pose questions, and there's a bit of a debate, and there's also a jury of teachers who are also posing questions and judging the quality of that presentation. The second round is what's called a Pecha Kucha. Are you familiar with Pecha Kucha? Yeah. Pecha Kucha, the idea is that you present 20 slides and 20 seconds per slide. So it's a sort of punchy presentation. They were doing sort of half Pecha Kuchas, so they were presenting 10 slides of 20 seconds each, and mainly visual, slides that are visual. So it's a punchy presentation. And again, particularly for didactics students, using language that is a foreign language for them is a very useful exercise. It's a constant reinforcement and resynthesization of language that they're hearing and using to present it as a Pecha Kucha. And then the final round is the TED Talk style presentation. So again, particularly for language students, this is constantly going over. This is sort of written language. This is spoken language. They're having to listen to the MOOC. They're having to reformulate what the MOOC is saying. So yeah, you're very valuable from a language perspective. In terms of the participants, how am I doing for time? Actually, am I already? Yeah, 6 or 7 minutes, right? Yeah. So in terms of division of labour, all the principal actors, these are the principal actors. So the participants are the students from the different universities who form into teams. So they have to follow the instructions. They have to collaborate in their team with their teachers. Participate in instruction related to the MOOC. They have to attend meetings and produce content to produce the presentations. The teachers, so these are M1, these are first-year master's students at the University of Rennes 2. The teachers essentially are coaches. They need to understand the resources because they're actually presenting the MOOC to the participating students. They liaise with their participant team and support their theme, whatever their idea is for their campus. Support the team with production preparation, present chapters of the MOOC to their team, and guide participants towards success. The mentors are M2 students. So these are second-year master's students who, in their previous year, were teachers themselves. So again, in terms of the project, giving these teachers to be, these are future teachers, it's reinforcing all of these, not only language skills, but reinforcing these skills of being able to organise and manage a project like this, a teaching project. So yeah, it's very valuable for the mentors as well to organise the competition, form teacher teams, facilitate participant teacher teams, communicate general information to coordinators and teachers, identify and promote useful digital tools, create resources, tutorials, template emails, and create an evaluation grid. And then finally, the coordinators are teachers like myself at Centrale Nantes, where I'm working with my ordinary classroom students, communicate general information to the teams, advise and accompany teams, attend debates, act as a competition judge, and give the students some points, give them some points. And there we go. Yeah, the circle of trust there. The VEC manager, this is the person who created and organised the whole project back in 2018. That's Professor Christine Evin of Rennes 2 University. The mentor there, the teacher, the participants, and the country. There's a country coordinator for each country involved in the competition. Okay, so very quickly, yeah, I better move on quickly. There's a blog, the Hypothèse blog, which gives all the information about the project, and it also is a site where you can view the previous editions of the project going back to 2018. And then the dashboard itself, and as it says on the can, both a tool for participants and for the managers. So yeah, it really does help to facilitate for everybody involved in this project. All the actors, be they teachers or students, are really greatly aided by having all this information on a central dashboard. So without further ado, that's just a shot of the blog. and that was last year's winner, entitled Clean All. So yeah, the first tab, general organisation. So yeah, this basically gives a roadmap of how the whole competition is going to unfold, right from the start of the semester to the end. Very valuable, obviously, for the participants, but also for those managing the project as well. Because if you think about it, you're dealing with 8 different universities across 5 different countries and across different time zones. So the potential for chaos and disaster is quite high, actually. So yeah, to have a central dashboard like this, and all the information concerning the scheduling of all the parts of this project is very valuable. This is a useful tab. This is weekly tracking. So for each team and teacher, they are in liaison with their team, and this gives us updates which everybody can view. The mentors, the coordinators, everybody can dip into this and see exactly what the progress is of each team. Very valuable tool because it's highlighting any problems, any difficulties, and those can be quickly addressed. And also you can look at other teams and how they perhaps addressed the same difficulties as well. So again, in terms of sharing knowledge as part of a community of practice, this is very valuable, and very valuable for future editions of the project, of the competition, that you can look back at this and think, well, yeah, there's quite a few people who have flagged this as a problem, so we need to change that for the next year. So yeah, this is a very valuable, the weekly tracking tab. The teams, I've obviously redacted this to protect the guilty. So yeah, it's unfortunately it's even more dull than it otherwise would have been. Yeah, all the information that would normally be on there has been removed. But again, this is all the teams involved, so you can quickly see who's in each team, and their email addresses, and obviously, yeah, it facilitates communication. Many students, obviously, after they've logged on with an email, and once they've made contact with one another, that they then go on to other platforms, and not least WhatsApp, for example, for their communication. The teacher page, again, is for teachers to be able to contact one another. Again, they would enter their emails and then perhaps go on to WhatsApp thereafter. And obviously, yeah, the managers can follow the process of teacher designation and make sure the teams have a teacher guiding them. So yeah, if you think about it, there is a lot of potential for people to get lost in the machine and to get lost in the system. So it is valuable, this, that managers can look at these pages and think, you know, is everybody where they should be? Is everybody in a team? Is everybody doing what they should be doing? Are they on schedule? Is it all going to plan? Okay, and then this final page is perhaps the most useful, and it does chime in with what was being said yesterday about curricula not keeping up with new technology, and this page is great, because what students, what teachers, what mentors, what coordinators, what managers are doing on this page, all of them, everyone involved in this project, they're all entering information about digital tools you can use, about relevant articles and resources, and resources specifically related to the environment. So there's a wealth of knowledge on this page. This is obviously a screenshot, but yeah, if you scroll down, there's about 70 entries for digital tools. Again, very useful for teachers in training who are going to be future teachers, that they've got all of these resources, and these are the most up-to-date resources. Yeah, the most up-to-date digital tools there in front of them. They can see them, and they, again, working peer-to-peer, they can learn how to use these tools and feel confident with them. So yeah, I think it does, to a certain extent, address that issue of us not keeping up, if you like, but the students amongst themselves, with this shared knowledge and shared skills, can keep up to date, and perhaps even analog teachers like myself can eventually get up to date. Yeah. Okay, and I think that's me done. Perhaps I've run over a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'd just like to say, as James Rowan said yesterday, well, what was it that he said? That it's acceptable to be able to say, I don't know, if you've got any questions, you know. But we have questions at the end, I imagine. Yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Spencer.